Good afternoon, ladies. How are you? Feeling good? Inspired? Empowered? Did you have the lobster I had for lunch? Just kidding. Well, it's very special for me to be here. I feel honored to be here today because USC plays a very special role in my life. How many of you are Marshall Business School graduates? Raise your hand. How many of you are Entrepreneur Program graduates? Raise your hand. How about 1995? Well, that's my graduating class. And USC Entrepreneur Program gave me the tools that I needed to live my dream. And that dream was to create organizations, corporations, nonprofit organizations to help develop and empower women globally. They gave me the tools, helped me write the business plan, and then from there, I took off and started doing things. So being here with you today plays a very special role in my heart. But I'm here to share with you the 10th annual Women Leadership, or Women Conference here at USC, but mostly to share with you my passion, my power, and the wisdom that the women have instilled and taught me throughout the last 20 years of helping develop women. But I'd like to start sharing my passion. I found my passion when I was 5 years old. Yes, 5 years old, but it was through tragedy. And it was because I came from a very dysfunctional family. And my father was very abusive towards my sisters, my mother, and I. And I saw so many inequalities, and I was like, Mommy, why does Daddy get to do everything and you can't do anything? And she says, Mija, that's just the way things are. And I said, oh no, not when I grow up. I'm going to change the world and make it better for women. And she said, okay, mijita, you do that. I didn't know where, I didn't know how, I didn't know when. I just knew that I was going to do it. 3 years later, I was about 7 or 8. I had seen that my mother, I was now more mature, and seen that my mother could leave the situation, but she felt she didn't have the strength to leave. Although I saw the strength in her, she didn't see it in herself. And I said, Mommy, let's go, let's leave. She said, Mija, I can't. I don't even know the English language. I don't have any skills. We'll be on the streets. I can't. I'll stay here so that you and your sisters can have a better life. And I said, but Mommy, I see it in you. I see the strength in you. I know you could do it. We could do it together. And she said, no, mijita, I don't have it in me. And she said, but whatever you do, don't be like me. She said, I was told when I was young by my mother, my grandmother, her mother, that as long as I was a good wife, my husband would take care of me. I didn't realize the price I had to pay. So go to school, get your education, and do whatever you need to do so that you are your own. So the fact that I went on to get my PhD is no surprise. Because I was going to make sure that no matter what happened in life, I was not going to depend on anyone or anything to take care of me. I was going to be self-sufficient. But I also realized that at that time, I made a decision that I was not able to help my mother shed her barriers, but that I was going to commit myself to helping other women see their beauty and their strength within themselves and be able to shine and break through any situation they had in their life, because there's nothing in the world a woman cannot do that she wants to do if she chooses to do. So throughout my life, I would confront bullies who would bully girls. I became the bully of the bullies. So because I was like, no, my whole purpose was to help young girls find their power. Fast forward, I was 23, started here at USC, and through tragedy once again, I found my authentic power. And that is because when I was about 20, my father tried to kill us, my sisters, my mother, and I. Of course, we survived. And I went into a deep depression, very deep depression. And I didn't know how to get out of it, and I didn't know who to talk to because my father had just tried to kill us, and it was like I was strong. I was here at USC. I was straight A student. I was a survivor, and everyone's like, wow, you're so strong. Look at you. You just keep going. But I was a mess. Emotionally, I was falling apart, but I was ashamed. I was ashamed that I was feeling that way. So in order to self-medicate, I turned to drugs, and I self-medicated that way. and I kept it hidden. And I was a closet user for about a year until I didn't care to live anymore. And once again, nobody knew. Everybody, the facade, this image everybody saw was of this strong young woman, but literally inside I wanted to die. And the day that I chose that I wanted to die was the day that I reached out to a stranger. There was 1-800 call. If you feel that you don't want to live, call us. I called that number, and it was disconnected. Due to insufficient government funds. And I said, if I live, I'm going to go to Congress and change this. So I was able to call actually a woman named Laura that had given me her number. One time I had previously called to a counseling center, and she said, I'm going to give you my home number. I'm not supposed to give it to anyone, but I'm going to give it to you. If you ever need me, call me. I had kept it in my wallet for about a month or two. I forgot it was there. But in that moment of desperation, I looked through my wallet and I found her number. And I called her like 6 a.m. on a Thursday. And I said, Laura, you don't know me, but I don't care to live anymore. I want to die. Please help me. And she said, I've been teaching yoga for 7 years, every Thursday morning at 6 a.m. And I know I set my alarm clock last night. And it didn't go off this morning. I'm supposed to be, and I still get the chills. I'm supposed to be here for you. Don't move. She came. She picked me up. She took me to the Beverly Hills Women's Clinic, and we sat there for 8 hours till we found a rehab who would take me on a loan basis. And so I went, and I realized that this facade I had been living, this shame that I had been living, was really keeping me from finding my true power. Because if you don't accept your truth of who you are, as a person, as a woman, as a man, whoever you are, you don't accept yourself. Therefore, how can you ever feel empowered? True, authentic power. True, authentic power comes from the core of your soul, of accepting your story, of who you are, what you've been through. Whether it's rape, whether it's molestation, whether it's, war, whatever it may be, it's your story. And it's something that you actually should be proud of because you're a survivor. We're all survivors of something. We all have our own story. But it wasn't until I was in rehab when they told me, well, welcome. And I said, how long is it going to take to fix me? And they said, why? I go, because I have to go take care of my mom, my little sister. I go to USC, have things to do, people to see, places to go. And they said, well, they laughed. And they said, there's the door. You don't have to stay. And I remember thinking, well, I kind of tried to do it on my own and couldn't. So I guess I should stay. So I was there for 30 days. And actually, the loan I got was only for 2 weeks. And at the end of 2 weeks, I was going to have to leave if I didn't find money to stay. And I remember thinking, God, I had given up on religion. And I was like, okay, God, if you're up there, I want to find you again. Help me find you. I'm not ready to leave. And the day I was supposed to leave, 2 weeks later, I got this package in the mail. And it was a friend named Peter, actually a friend from USC. And he said, I called your house. Your mother said you're on vacation. My mother literally was in denial. She thought, oh, she's on vacation. She's staying at this beautiful house. It has to be a rehab. But he said, was thinking about you. I was in Europe. Here's some gifts. And by the way, just in case you need some extra cash, I needed $700 to be able to stay. He goes, here's $700. Wow. Yes. I was like, I remember, I'll never forget, because that was a miracle in my life. And to me, that was when I found my faith again. And I said, you exist. I knew you did. And I went to my counselor, and I said, look what just came. He said, get on your knees. And I said, yes, I will, because it allowed me to stay for 2 more weeks, which I did. And I remember my therapist saying, I want you to go to the mirror and look in the mirror and say, I love you. I said, I'll say it, but I won't mean it. And now, don't get a mirror around me. Because I will say it all day long, and I'll be like, it's okay, baby, I love you. I know, and yeah, I talk to myself quite a bit. So I left there, and I realized that it was in sharing my story there, what I've been through, that it felt alive again. I felt like, wow, people still accept me, even though I had this story, and actually the only role model I've ever had in my life was Oprah Winfrey, is Oprah Winfrey, because she shared her story, and she was still accepted. And I was like, well, maybe if Oprah did it, then maybe it's okay if people find out, like, yeah, Oprah, hello, Yasmin, Oprah, like. But in my own mind, I was thinking, wow, and it was when I shed that shame that I came alive again, because I now accepted myself. Once I came out, I came back to USC in the fall, and everyone was like, how was your summer? I said, it was a life-changing experience, literally. And I started sharing with some friends, colleagues of mine, or friends, students, what I had gone through, and next thing you know, women were lining up to share their story with me. Even though they've never met me, their story of pain, of rape, or whatever. And I say, why me? They said, because I know you won't judge me, because you have your own story. And I realized that women didn't have a safe place to shed their shame. Because until we shed our shame, we are not truly free. And I thought to myself, wow. And these were women, either students and their mothers and their aunts and whoever, they just wanted someone to listen. So I said, okay, I'm going to write my story in my first book to be able to say, don't be ashamed, own your story. And so I wrote my first book called Empowering Latinas, Breaking Boundaries, Freeing Lives. At that time, I was focusing on Latinas, and then I crossed over to all women, because at that time I was like, okay, I know these women, I don't know all women yet. And a career kind of just took off from it. Within 6 months, Hispanic Magazine said one of the 100 most influential Latinas, and I'm like, all I did was share my story. Like, seriously? But this was 20 years ago, and at that time, it wasn't very popular to share your story, at least not in the Hispanic community. You don't talk about that stuff. It's like, really, right? So my mom was she had a problem with me putting her dirty laundry out there. And then once I took her to one of my speeches, and everybody was like, wow, your daughter, she's amazing. And my mom says, that was my idea for her to write the book. So I said, yes, it was, Mom, it was. So that is where I found my power. My true power, authentic power, and I began the journey of empowering women. Fast forward 5 to 7 years down the road, I'm giving a speech somewhere, thousands of women, and after I have these gentlemen come up to me, and they're investors, and they say, we see promise in you, we want to invest in you, we want to help you empower women globally, we want to make you the Latina Oprah. And I was like, whoa, like, Oprah is awesome, like there's no way, okay, then Yasmin version. I'm like, I just want to know, are you going to help me reach women globally? Yes, we are. At that time, social entrepreneurship wasn't really even existent, at least not, it wasn't known. And I said, okay. And so they said, we want you exclusive. We don't want you to work with anybody else. We will pay you this much a month. We will hire all these people. They basically laid it out for me very nicely. We'll create new products and services. We created a workbook and CDs for empowering women. And then about a year later, after I fully depended on them, they turned around and said, you have 24 hours to sign this contract. And the contract said that they would own my name in 5 years, and I would have to pay them for it, to use my own name. And so they had got me right where they wanted me. What I didn't realize is that their plan was, hey, Yasmin's able to impact women, but next thing you know, she can sell them cars, and she can sell them this. So that was when I realized that they were trying to use my platform for their agenda to exploit women. And I told my team, I can't do this. That's not who I am. And they said, of course not. So I said no. They pulled all the funding, and I had to file bankruptcy. I lost my home and everything that I had worked so hard for. And I was just in the same position my mother had been when I was 7, but with business, right? I had fully depended on one entity or one person, whatever it may be, to define me, to tell me what I can and cannot do. And then when it was gone, I either had to abide or lose everything I had. And my thing is, I would lose everything I had because I can rebuild. And that was the day that I realized, never again will I allow anyone to use my platform for their agenda. Never again will I allow anyone to put money before impact. Never again will I allow anyone to be part of my circle, my life, without the right overall purpose, and that is to empower and develop women. Impact first. Don't get me wrong, I like money. But never lead with my life. I never lead with money. I lead with impact. I mean, I like a nice quality life, but it doesn't define me. Therefore, if it's not going to make impact, I don't care how much money, I'm not interested. So I decided it was going to be a journey for me, not a destination. And I was going to bring lots of powerful women together to join this team, this movement. We were going to do this as a unit. Because what I forgot to mention was that when I was with these investors, they wanted to change me. They said, no red lipstick. I'm like, hell no, you're not going to change my red lipstick. Sorry, it's not going to happen. They said, the more kind of American look, like softer colors, the beiges. I was like, but that's not who I am. That's what America wants, they said. And I said, well, they're not getting me then. And then they said, we want to build you as an illusion. So, you can't, talk to the crowds. And I was like, but the women are what give me strength. It's me and them. We are one. They're like, no. And I remember thinking, what a lonely place to live. And I said, if I have to do it this way, I don't want it. I don't want it if I can't bring women with me. So when everything happened and I had to declare bankruptcy and I had to start all over, I said, I will do it my way. And it'll take me longer, but I will do it the right way. And so for the last 10 to 12 years, I have done it my way. And I have rebuilt and I have created a team. We have a team of 18 powerful women that work with me. We create programs that'll help and empower, develop women from leadership to entrepreneurship, millennial program to multicultural women program to a women negotiation program, you name it, we do it. But from a place of common purpose. And so I wanted to share my passion with you. I wanted to share my power with you. But now I want to share the wisdom that I know that we together, you and I, in our communities, we can empower women because there is a formula. So if you are interested in empowering women and creating your own movement, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's in a community, I want to share what's worked for us. Number one, it can never be about you. The moment it's about you, you're done. Because no one likes to follow someone when it's about that person they're following. There has to be a greater purpose. And there has to be a greater purpose beyond empowering women. And what I mean is you have to find a shared goal. Whether it's you want to get together with a bunch of women who want to get a promotion, or get together with a bunch of women who want to start, there has to be a goal that keeps you aligned and keeps you on task to reach an objective together. Because it's not the objective that's going to keep you going. That's not the objective that's going to define the empowerment. It's the process of getting there. And the process is one of, number one, there is no judgment. So as a leader, each of you, each of us, has to be vulnerable first. And you have to share your own crucible, life story, whatever it may be, with this group of women or men or whoever you choose to lead. You have to show by example that you're willing to be vulnerable. And then each of them has to share their crucible, their life story, or whatever it may be. I don't care if you're studying for an accounting CPA exam. It's not the overall objective. It's about the process of support. Because one thing I realized is that my mother didn't feel she had the strength because she was alone. She was alone in a world where she couldn't share her pain. But if she had a support system, if she had other women there and men and whoever else to hold her up, to help her rise when she fell, she could have done it. And many of us, we feel alone. And my job is to let you know you are never, ever alone. Because I know what it is to be alone, and it's a very scary and sad place. So I've made it my commitment in life to make sure that any woman I come across knows she's never alone. Even if I can't offer services, I will refer her to someone who could. I will make sure that she gets the resources she needs, whether in business or life. But the second thing you have to do is, once you each share your crucible, you have to set some very strict rules. And that is that you're there to build community and support one another. And the moment someone judges, they're out. No second chances. Because the sacredness of women empowering women is a safe space. It's a safe space to just be. And that's where women grow their power, by being accepted from their core. The thing they feel so ashamed the most is what they need to shed the most to find their power. And until they shed that shame, until they find a safe place to shed that shame, they're not going to find that authentic power. And it's your job as a leader, our job leading other women, to nurture and protect that safe space like no other, at all costs. I've had women in my programs who have been friends who come and they start judging. I'm like, you're out. They're like, but we can have a drink later. Meaning it's not personal, right? I love them. It's never personal. It's about the greater purpose. It's about what we're trying to establish for women. So I'm not going to judge a woman if she judges, which I know none of you here do. You know people that do, though, right? And it's never personal, but it's about the greater purpose and what you're trying to accomplish there. So you commit to no judgment. You put people in line. Like, remember what we committed to. You actually ask people to leave who do, or sometimes they can't help themselves. And you ask them to come back when they're ready. And you say, we'll still love you. We won't judge you. But you need to be ready to take this place. And then you nurture and support and you help each other rise, because each of us will fall over and over again. And if you're not falling, you're not taking enough risks. Because that's what life is all about, is learning how to fall graciously and then having your sisters, the other women, men, whoever is part of your circle, help pick you up. And it's only when you help each other rise that true, authentic power is established. Because hierarchical power, where you have power over someone, is old school. Okay? People don't like, especially our millennials nowadays. They're not going for it, and it's not influential leadership. The number one characteristic of influence is empathy. I'll say that again. The number one characteristic of influence is empathy. Because you only want to follow those that you feel care about you. And if they don't care about you, then you only follow them because you have to. And honestly, who wants that? And if you want that, then you and I got to talk after this. So, empathy, support, no judgment. And then you build a bond, a sisterhood, and then you start supporting one another, doing business together, giving each other work, finding jobs for one another, opportunities, and the doors open up, because what you have done, you have shed your shame. And now you accept each other for who you are. So I have a call to action today. And my call to action is that each of you embraces yourself as a leader of empowering women, whether it's just you and your girlfriend, or a group of women at church, or a group of women at work. But we cannot do it alone. We simply cannot do it alone. We need one another, whether we like it or not. We truly do. And together, we are so much more powerful. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.